Hey everybody, welcome to the recap of Wednesday night. We're trying to do this as a shortened form of the dating study to help keep everybody on the same page. If you missed a week, we don't want you to feel like you can't get caught up. This is hopefully not going to be as long as the actual teaching session itself, but hopefully to be something that you can get the nuts and bolts and be able to stay with us for the upcoming weeks. So this past week we talked about how to date. We're trying to think about the nuts and bolts about dating. The week before we talked about who to date and we talked about finding the right person. And I didn't give you a list. I gave you a list of things to consider, but I didn't give you a list of what to look for, but rather helped you think through that list yourself. So my hope is that prayerfully and seeking the Lord, you'll know kind of who you're looking for, but then also the reminder of to show grace because there are no perfect people out there, including ourselves. So make sure as you think through, again, who am I supposed to date and ultimately one day marry, think about this, that you need to make sure that you show grace in that process. We're not shopping for a car. We're not shopping for a home. We're interviewing and looking at actual people, and we're getting to know them, hopefully to make them better and us better too for having spent time with one another, but to find the person that we want to do life with, somebody that we enjoy being around, somebody that helps us, and we help also in life and help grow closer to God. I mean, you want somebody that you can do life with. So that's my hope and my prayer for you. And parents, as you go through this process with your teenagers, our hope is not just to give you a bunch of rules and a bunch of guidelines to follow, but to help facilitate conversations and real life, because this is your family and this is your future, and we want this to be incredible. We want it to be wonderful for you to look ahead and then one day be able to look back and say, wow, look what God did with our students and their spouses, and this is an exciting time. I know that probably even freaks you out even thinking about it, but my hope is that it will bring about joy and bring about excitement and remind you of the responsibility, but also the opportunity that you have to invest in your students, to invest in their future spouses, to be praying for them and encouraging them. So we're looking forward to that, and we're praying for you, parents. We're praying for you, students, as you go through this time, and we're looking forward to and excited about your dating as well. So today we're looking at how, and so here's the brief version of this. I'm just going to kind of hit the highlights of my notes here real quick because I want to try and keep it fairly brief again so you can be caught up. The first thing is to, and this is rocket science, guys, be yourself. I know you're like, Alan, really? You needed to tell us that? Yeah, I did. Because so many times we put on a front of, well, I'm going to be this way to attract this kind of person. Listen, we're not fishing here. I know there's a fishing analogy of there are other fish in the sea, but this isn't trying to attract something to be shiny for a moment and then put a hook in them. We're really trying to interview and look at people and see if there's somebody that we want to do life with and if they want to do life with us. So we need to be ourselves. Now, a little caveat with that, doesn't mean you need to be like, well, I'm not going to dress up nice and I'm going to burp and I'm just going to let it all hang out. No. You need to be polite and you need to be respectful and you need to be yourself. But at the same time, you need to be yourself. In Matthew chapter 5, Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything else is of the evil one. The reality is you don't need to sugarcoat yourself and you don't need to try and be somebody you're not. Also, Ephesians chapter 4, Paul writes these words. He says, laying aside falsehood, lying, speak truth to one another. Like, listen, we want to be very truthful in who we are and also in what our intentions are in dating. Guys, listen, here's the ramification of that. Can you imagine how hard it would be to maintain a story or a lie? If you've ever done it before, you know just how difficult that can be. Can you imagine building a relationship on something that isn't true? Can you imagine how difficult it would be to maintain that? But then also think about how difficult it would be when you get tired of it and need to tell that other person that, hey, I know I said I really like this, or that these are the biggest things in my life, but they're not. Yes, people do change, but if you start off telling something that isn't true from the get-go, listen, it's going to be problematic. Let's flip the coin here. What if you were the person who had been lied to? How would that make you feel? If the person you thought was just incredible, suddenly you find out that they're not really as incredible as you thought they were. Oh yeah, sure, they're still good people, they're still great, but they're not who you thought they were. You would feel cheated, you would feel let down, you would feel disappointed. Hey, remember this, students and parents. Truth is the easiest thing to lose, Trust is the easiest thing to lose and the most difficult thing to gain. It's not impossible to regain trust, but it takes time and proven character. A whole lot easier to start off being trustworthy and being someone that you know what you get. So please remember, first, be yourself. Be you. Don't sugarcoat anything, but be truthful. Let people see who you are and get to know the real you, not somebody that you're not, okay? Trust me, everybody's going to have a better experience because of that. Secondly, this is, again, rocket science here. Have fun. The fun principle. Make sure that when you go out on a date and when you go do stuff, hey, that you have a great time. It's meant to be something that's fun to do. It's not just something that's like, oh, I guess I got to go out and have a date now. No, you should be enjoying time. Remember, you're trying to evaluate, is this a person that I want to do life with? And my hope is that life is not a drudgery or a whole bunch of just responsibilities, but that you can have fun. You need to see if you can have fun with this person, that y'all can go and enjoy things. Now, on Wednesday night, we made a long list of creative ideas. I do have that audio, and I'll try to type those lists up so you can get some of those ideas. But listen, make sure it's something that you can do and have fun with those people. Think of fun things to do. And let me say this. There are 3 things that I mentioned on Wednesday night that, listen, it should be enjoyable, right? Criteria of things to do should be enjoyable. Secondly, it should be an opportunity to get to know someone. There are some things that you can do as a date, but you don't ever get to talk to them. You don't ever get to hear their heart. You don't ever get to know them. Listen, while those can be fun and they can be enjoyable, they're not necessarily the best thing to do as a date unless you build some time to talk and discuss and just get to know them after the fact. So you know going to a movie is fine, it's fun, it's great and everything, but the reality is you're not getting to know that person very well. So build in some time to get to know them, and yeah, sure, do some movies and stuff like that. That's fine, but make sure that you get to know the actual person and not just do things together and then walk away and still not know them any better, okay? And number 3, listen, it's always something, make sure it's something that you could do as a group. Let me suggest this to everybody, especially as you first get to know people. Do things with a group. Have group fun. It is always great to go watch a movie together, as a group, and then go get ice cream or go get something to eat or go on a hike with other people or go jump off a dock or go swimming with other people. I don't know. There are a lot of different things that you can do as a group. Go play ultimate frisbee together. Go play tennis together. Whatever. Take a group of friends. It takes the pressure off because it's not you and just another person. You're like, now what do we do? It's a whole lot easier to fill in the conversation when there are more people involved. And then as you get to know people, you can kind of get to where let's go do something together, just us. And then still go do stuff with friends too. Because let me tell you something, you will be better off for it and your date will be better off for it. It takes the pressure off and it helps keep things in a better place. It helps you guard your heart and not become too serious too quick. It also helps you to remember, again, just the privilege and the joy of being able to have friendship with somebody. Remember, when it comes down to dating, this person is going to marry somebody, and it may be you, it may be somebody else. But the best you can treat them now, the better they will be and the better you will be as a result of that. So remember, first one, be yourself. Secondly, have fun. Have fun when you go out on dates. Go do stuff with their family. Go do stuff with your family. Not everything, obviously, because you don't want to get too close too soon. But, man, go have fun. Go on a picnic with them. Go on a picnic with their family. Go on a hiking trip. Do something along those lines. Go with their student ministry. Go with our student ministry. Yeah, bring them on. Please, we would love for you to do stuff and bring people that you're interested in and let them meet people, right? This is one of those things. We want to take the pressure off of dating when it comes down to that. Thirdly, be clear. This is huge, and I've got a little video clip I'm going to transition to. Be clear. Ben Stewart, who wrote the book that we've been kind of recommending, Single, Dating, Engaged and Married, he has a little clip here. It's about 5 minutes long talking about the beauty of clarity. I would say this, listen, don't leave people wondering where they are in their relationship with you or where you guys stand. One of the most frustrating things in dating is when you don't know where the other person stands, what they're thinking. Listen, give each other the gift of clarity. Give each other the gift and the opportunity to know what each other is thinking. It'll help you to continue to guard your heart and not become have unreal expectations, but also not to become more involved than you should be. It'll also take some pressure off if you're just real and honest from the get-go. Even so much as, hey, I really enjoyed this. This is great, but I just don't see us being together. It's a whole lot easier to step out of that into a role of friendship. Yes, it is possible. Again, when you've kept things in the right arena and the right sphere, it's a whole lot easier to not get each other's expectations too high, to also come back off of it and be friends again and be able to enjoy that and be able to at least be in the same room for that matter. Side note, that's why it's so, I want you guys to be able to date one another here in our student ministry, and that's great. But I also kind of get a little nervous when you do, because I don't want you to get so involved and so quick that you get to the point where you're like, oh, I cannot be in the same room as this other person. This is a youth pastor's nightmare, by the way. Please help me help you. Keep your dating. You can date one another. Please do. But keep it in the friendly level and make sure you maintain your friendship and your relationship so you can step back into that as well and not be opposed to one another after everything is said and done. But you can check out that video from Ben Stewart. I'll put a link in there so you can check that out. It's about 5 minutes long, but it's super good, so check that out. Number 4, and the last principle for this week was this, the golden principle. This is one of my favorite principles to apply to dating, and it comes from Matthew chapter 7, and here's what Jesus said. He said, in everything, therefore, treat people the same way you want them to treat you, for this is the law and the prophets. Hey guys, hey girls, remember this. The person that you're dating is going to be someone's future spouse. Maybe yours, maybe somebody else's. What would happen if we took the golden rule that Jesus gave us and applied it to the dating sphere? How would that look? If the girl that I was dating, if I treated her the way that I want someone to treat my future spouse, wow, what would that look like? I would care for her. I would do the best that I could to encourage her in her walk with God. I would do the best I could to keep our hearts in the right place, right? I would make sure that I kept everything where it needed to be. Guys, listen, think about that. The person that you are dating is one day either going to be your spouse or somebody else's. The best thing you can do is treat them the way that you hope someone is treating your future spouse. You don't want to leave a lot of baggage with the people that you date. And you don't want to have a lot of baggage from the people that you date. You want to be the kind of person that leaves them better for having known you. You want to encourage them, help them to see Jesus, help them to grow in Him, help them to be your friend above being your boyfriend or your girlfriend. Because the reality is that is a transitional state of time. The Bible doesn't mention a whole lot of boyfriend and girlfriend because it was different from the culture, right? The culture then wasn't there. But God never intended us to stay in the boyfriend or girlfriend zone. There's single people and then there's married people, right? And people who once were single or married. The reality is there's no boyfriend or girlfriend zone because we were never meant to be there. We were never meant to stay there. So let's do the best that we can to minimize the frustration, to minimize the baggage and the historical issues that we might have by treating one another the way that we hope someone is treating our future spouse. That goes for guys with girls and girls with guys. Be encouraging that guy. Be encouraging that girl. Help them see Jesus better. Help them to be who God has called them to be. Help them to pursue what God's called them to do and encourage them so that one day, whether they're your spouse or somebody else's, if you run into them, right, they won't be wanting to come up and slug you. Their spouse won't be like, I'm going to get that boy. I'm going to hit him for what he did to my wife. Instead, they'll be like, hey, it's so good to meet you. I've heard so much about you, and it's all been great. Thank you so much for how you helped my wife see Jesus, for how you helped my husband become the man that God's called him to be. Guys, listen, the golden principle, if we'll really live it out, will revolutionize how we date. And I promise you, keep that on the forefront of what you do and the decisions that you make and the things that you do. How I treat this girl, how I treat this guy, is it helping them to become who God's called them to be? Am I treating them the way that I want someone to treat my future spouse, right? So let's think about that again, because when we do, it's gonna change everything. Another quote to put with that is be the kind of person that people want to come up and hug rather than come up and slug. All right. So think about that in your dating life, in your friendships, and how you do everything. It's the golden rule. It's the golden principle, not because Meemaw said it or Papaw said it, but because Jesus said it, and it applies in every circumstance, in every situation. And guys, listen, it applies when it comes to dating. Cool? Hey, that's it for kind of getting the whole nugget of what we talked about on Wednesday night, kind of give you the 4 principles that we looked at this past week. Please come join us this next week. Our hope is that you'll be able to join us in person this next week. If you can't, we'll try and do another update to kind of get everybody on the same page. I'm going to do a separate little video that'll have a couple of notes that I just said, real practical stuff to encourage everybody with on the dating sphere. So we want to make sure we get that together too. All right. Hope you have a great night. We love you guys. We're praying for you, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks. Bye.